Hello, I hope you're all doing well. Apologies if my voice will be a little weird during this. I currently have a cold. It's been a while since the last diary. I kind of came to the point where I feel I'm just going to do one of these diaries when I feel it's a good time to do one, rather than trying to set a schedule for it. Yeah, so if you haven't seen one of these, this is a video series where I talk about... I do a deep dive into my professional side of things and talk about how things are going, my thoughts behind things. If my dog Luna here barks at all during this, then I'm sorry about that. She's in heat, so she's feeling a little weird at the moment. Bless her. She's very nice. Hi. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Since we talked last, a lot has happened. Been one of the more hectic times in my work life. I've gotten Less Teo started up again, my other channel. I started Less Teo as a clips channel quite a long time ago now. During the time that they added shorts to YouTube. That was mainly vertical shorts, but during that time, YouTubers noticed that just normal clips, any video under a minute, even if it's just uploaded as a video horizontally, would do really well. So a lot of YouTubers, including myself, started clips channels. And my channel, Less Teo, during that time did so well for like half a year. Quite a few clips got over 1 million views, like lots of different viral clips, I guess, that spread. And then that kind of honeymoon phase died down, and so the last half year, I'd say Less Teo hasn't really been that active. And I do think that handling clips, just one clip under a minute, between TikTok, Instagram, trying to throw something up on Twitter every now and then, and Less Teo, it can be quite a lot trying to balance it so that you don't do the same content between them. And that's quite important. You could say, like, why don't you just do the same clip over everything? And the reason for that is because, so if I put up a clip on Instagram and you guys watch it, and then 20% of the people who see that clip get uploaded on Less Teo don't click on it because they can recognize by the thumbnail that they've already seen this on my social media. It basically leads to the clip not performing as well. So you have to balance it out if you're going to have multiple places like that. However, I don't mind doing clips on Less Teo and TikTok, because TikTok, so many views on TikTok on your clip are just from random people. Whereas Instagram, it's like kind of the same audience as Less Teo. You know, it's the same viewers. So that was... Anyway, that's not relevant anymore because I'm not doing those kind of clips on Less Teo anymore. Instead, I started doing vertical shorts on my main channel. I'm trying to anyway. It's hard finding what would do well as a short and what like makes a good short on the main channel. And so here's the thing. I've always felt that there was a missing piece in my content output for chunks from my streams that could be cut down, that are entertaining, segments, not to upload raw to more Teo, my VOD channel, but more just, they can be lightly edited, such as me doing some test online, such as me talking about something, a subject, such as cannibalism. And I thought, why not try this out on Less Teo? So Marco and Senshi raised their hands and said we're interested, and now that's what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks. I like to say that Less Teo is where I put my mid-tier content. That's kind of the outlook I had. I don't think Senshi likes it when I say that, judging by how he's reacted. It's good, obviously. Like, if I believed it wasn't good content, then I wouldn't be streaming it in the first place. But it's the kind of stuff that I don't think works on my main channel, and I don't want to put it up raw on more Teo. I think it has more potential than that, such as me doing these rank dulls. So what we're doing with Less Teo now is that kind of stuff, lightly edited and cut down, as well as a clip here and there. We're kind of mixing it up. So it's more of a traditional stream highlights channel. And so far it's doing really well. It's been 3 weeks since we started this with almost daily uploads, and it's had 750,000 views, which is really good. So that's going to end up at about 1 million views per month if it keeps going that way. So that's doing really well. I'm really pleased with that. I think that, I've felt that for a long time. Sometimes I'd put up stuff on Mortio that I felt I could do more with, but it's not kind of good enough. I have a very high bar, personally, for my main channel, and it's kind of nice to have somewhere I could put stuff that's just like, oh, this is a funny story, but it's not something that belongs in like a mishmash. It's not like a laugh out loud thing. It's more just like, oh, this is entertaining, and maybe you'll like, do a quick like, that's the kind of stuff that I felt's been missing in output. Oh, you know when the tea just hits? Fucking hell. Let's talk about how the videos have been doing since I did one of these last. I'm really happy that... So I had a talk with YouTube after I put up the video talking about their recent monetization weird stuff going on. And they were really... They gave a lot of good... I could tell they were listening, and I could tell that they were taking the issue seriously. I think the issue with when something goes wrong at such a blatant level on a platform like YouTube is that in order for that to get fixed, you have thousands of employees, and from what I've heard, it takes a lot for it to go through the path of, this is just the corporate life, isn't it? It takes a lot for it to get fixed because has to go through so many levels. But from what they said, this issue it was going to the top level, and there were some very serious meetings being had about it. I actually mentioned in the call with them, I was like, so Linus Tech Tips, who a lot of you will be familiar with, he started doing like the first 15 seconds of videos were just like a protest screen, until the video started, because and then he started swearing and stuff. And I said to my contact at YouTube in the call, I was like, when Linus Tech Tips is doing this far, that he's changing his content because you guys are messing up this much, then maybe something's not right here, like that tells you how big it is. But yeah, I was very pleased with the call. They were very, they took it very seriously. And I could touch upon that regarding what I said in the end of my commentary about it, that sponsorships, that I want to do more sponsorships. That is going really well so far. I have 1, 2, 3 in-video sponsorships coming up in the next 3 weeks, most likely. Yeah. From what I have planned right now. So that's... I like the response I got to it. People seem really forward. Now my challenge about that is finding an editor to help me with that, because I want to do good ads, and that takes time. Like the opera ads that Ducky would do, if you're going to do at that level, that takes a week to do one of those ads. It's a lot of editing. So now our challenge is, we're actually talking, we have someone in mind right now who can help us, because I can't say, if we have 3 ads, I can't have my editors all work. Like, I want them working on the actual videos and not, if I'm doing a sponsorship to make more revenue in order to pay them to make the videos, then I need them to be making the videos when I'm making that revenue. Otherwise, it kind of goes against the whole purpose of it. Does that make sense? So we're looking at finding an editor to help us just with the ads now, to help us fill in there and keep that style, that high quality style, because I think that's what makes my ads more acceptable and entertaining, and you actually watch them, is the fact that they're very well done. I'm not going to get lazy with it. Oh, God. In terms of news regarding editors, since we're on that subject, unfortunately I got the news that Jeff is going to be moving on due to unrelated reasons. And that's got me really sad. Not just because he's a great guy to work with, but also just because it's tough when people say they're going to move on from working with you. But he said he'll most likely, we haven't gotten that far into the conversation, but he'll most likely be around for you might see a one-off video here and there that he makes, but the whole idea of him making regularly making videos, isn't on the table anymore. So we're also looking for a new editor to fill that slot now. So that's a few things that hopefully I'll be able to talk about in the next diary and say, hey, what do you think about Christian's videos? So we'll see how that goes. Regarding how my videos have done in January and February, quite happy with it. Thumbnails that I like. The Mishmash number 71, great thumbnail. I've always said this, I love thumbnails that connect between the title and thumbnail very well, So, in fact, I think Ducky made that thumbnail. Or was it Sunset? I can't quite, God, this was over a month ago. But speaking of Ducky, he actually made the Rage one as well, because I was going out and I was like, hey, can you help me? Really happy with that one. Most of these are good. I love the Tarkov one. The Tarkov one, first time I've ever done this, I used AI. The original image has a chair in the way, so you can't see my face. So I asked an AI bot, whatever it's called, I can't remember the name of it, to fill in. So then I gave the AI just me without the chair, and I asked it to fill it in, saying a guy on the ground, in despair. And that's what it made, and I think it just fits so well with the vibe I was trying to give. Really happy with all the thumbnails except for one, the Overwatch video. I hate this thumbnail and I hate the title. Sometimes I will sit for an hour and a half trying to get a good thumbnail, trying to get a good title. I'll rewatch the video over and over trying to find something, and I just cannot find something that'll work. So what the hell do? I just go with something and I'm like, yeah, this is good enough. And that happens sometimes. And it's okay going with something outside of your style. Sometimes that works out. One of the first Overwatch videos did really well with me doing something that I don't really do in terms of style. This time it did not do well, and I also hate it. It's just not my style. But that's okay. You can't win them all. You know what I mean? You have to be okay with settling. I feel like a lot of people would be like, that's a loser. Oh, that's a loser mentality. But you can't go through life thinking everything needs to be perfect. Sometimes it's okay to just say, you know what? This one's okay, and I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to be fantastic. But I will say, out of 10 videos here, only one of them I don't like. That's all right. That's okay in my book. So, no, really happy with all the thumbnails. Love the Devil in Me one. That video's done really well, actually. That's almost at 250k views. How much is the first one at? 270. Dude, it's approaching the views of the first one, which is really nice. That's actually a little surprising. Okay, a bit of a cut here. Sorry about that. I had to take Luna out for a walk, and I needed a meal in me. So let's continue. Where was I? What was next? Right. I don't want to talk too much about this because I've already made it clear my stance and stuff, but the whole point of the diary is to mention things that have happened, my professional feelings about it. So Hogwarts, yeah. I had two choices after I played it. I could either have just kept going. I could either do that, or I could have put up the response video like I did. And so when I decided for this, the reason I did that was probably two reasons. One was I went live playing Overwatch the evening after I played Hogwarts, and I had a couple of trans viewers reach out to me. One of them said, I remember said, they resubbed or donated, I think, and asked, hey Tio, what, they weren't so much mad or disappointed. It was more just like, hey, I saw that you played Hogwarts, and I'm curious what your stances on trans rights and all of that. And so I think they were more. Me playing Hogwarts, I think, made it more. I think what I realized is for every person who's trans who reached out to me, there's probably dozens who chose not to ask and then just maybe even assumed that I don't give a shit about them. And no matter if I agree or disagree with the view of boycotting Hogwarts, I think the main reason I put up that response video, despite it putting more attention to it and despite more people than a lot of people will have not even seen that I played Hogwarts, you know, but by putting this video up, I'm then fully saying I disagree with your boycott because and what I said in that video. But I needed to put it up to make it clear to people who are trans, who are in my community, that I welcome them and that I'm all for them to be who they want to be. I think that was really important to me, more so than like, you know, trying to excuse myself or something. That wasn't the point. I think it was more I just wanted to make that 100% clear to them. And then if they feel like, you know what, but I so fully disagree with playing Hogwarts that you thinking that's okay, I'm out. Like, then that's okay. People can disagree with things, and if you disagree that hard that you're out, then that's okay, you know. But I wanted to still make it clear if you're in my community that like you're welcome, you know. So that was the main reason. And the second reason, which I think came out a little towards the end in terms of how I was kind of mad, actually. I was pissed, which you can see at the end of the video a little bit, yeah, because the response to me playing it had been fairly okay. My community's generally very nice, so most of it, there was a lot of toxicity, but most of it was just like, I'm disappointed in you, Tio. But I was mad because I saw a clip, for example, of a streamer named, what's her name? Their Girlfriend Reviews, I think they're called. She started crying because her chat was so on her about the fact that she was playing Hogwarts. And I think that was the other reason I wanted to put it up, because I was mad. I'm not going to get into it. As I said in the video, that's my final take. If anyone wonders, anything you have to say, my response is that video. But I wanted to explain more like the professional viewpoint and why I personally decided to put up that video, because it's not very common for me to do. It is also the first time I've been involved in any sort of controversy. So it was a very conscious decision for me to do that. And I'm really happy with how well the charity raising did. We've just passed $9,500 raised for that charity between the Tiltify setup and the YouTube page charity. So I'm really happy with that. I had someone resub to me yesterday saying, this is my last resubscription. I think you completely missed the point of the boycott. And they went on a little. And it's tough for me to hear that without responding to it and getting into it. But I think for my mental health, and it's a point I made in that video, that we can't keep going back and forth like this. People are allowed to disagree on points while still believing in the same cause. So I said to him, like, go to the video if you want to hear my take on that. Some people in chat said it felt like bait. Well, I don't really know if it was, but like, anyone who brings it up on stream now, I'm just going to say, go watch my video I have nothing more to say. And that's that. But I just wanted to bring that up and just talk a little bit about it. I'm very happy with how it went. And I think the main reason, was just because I was upset at the idea of trans viewers thinking that I don't welcome them, I guess. So I have some questions from you guys, as we did last time. Now we've got even more questions this time, plus the questions there's a lot of questions. I'm going to go through some of them. I cannot go through all of them, because I'll be sitting here for 3 hours, I think. But I'm going to go through some of the ones I find Interesting, I guess. Keep coming with questions, and hopefully I'll get to yours. Hobo lists them all for me very nicely. Thank you, Hobo. I haven't actually read through them fully, so I haven't planned this part. Give me 1 second. So I've got some editing questions. I think I'm going to wait with those. I am doing a setup change soon, and I'm going to talk a lot about our setup and stuff. And for these editing questions, a lot of them are to do... I think it could be cool for me to have Flash on, or Sunset, or Ducky here. I'll think about that. It could be cool to have their perspective on things, like such as how many hours of footage do the editors typically have to go through? What's the setup? How long does it take? Excuse me. I think that'll be interesting to have actually one of my editors on here to talk about that. What happened to Gaming Alley? What happened to Gaming Alley was, it was something I was very excited about, but I think it was the wrong time to do it. We were about 5 years too late with Gaming Alley. For those who don't know, Gaming Alley was a compilation channel we started. My idea was, I was heavily inspired by the old Inside Gaming Machinima videos where they would do challenges for their community in games. So I did one where it was like, get a creative kill with a gas canister in PUBG. And then we also did compilations. And it you know what, it went okay, but it was a lot of work. I think it always feels like it's going to be less work than it is. So the combo of it being a lot of work, and I don't think it... I think that I have a very high bar for my own content, and so if you're going to make compilations on a compilation channel of random people's content and stuff, I think I need to lower that bar a little in order to get quite a few videos out there. And I just couldn't do that. That, and also, I think it was too late for it. I don't think compilation channels do as well today. If you want to do a community channel today, then you're going to be doing shorts, I think, at this point. Maybe Gaming Alley could have done well with that. But yeah, the compilations, people aren't interested in that anymore. They used to be. Back in like between 2012 and 2016, community compilation channels did really well. But starting Gaming Alley in like, what was that, 2019 or something? It was just too late, unfortunately. So I gave up. We gave up on the project. We gave up on it. It cost quite a lot to have editors on it, and we did not make nearly enough back for it to profit. What happened to TO Tuesdays? What did happen to TO Tuesdays? Oh, so TO Tuesdays was an idea for me playing, back when I didn't play single player games. I was like, I'm going to start playing single player games. I started doing that on stream a lot. And then Alex was getting into editing and she was enjoying it. So she was on top of that series, and the intro had to do with her singing and stuff. And the idea of a series having Tuesdays in it implies that it's every week. And eventually, I think my content style changed so much that I couldn't do one a week. Plus, Alex lost interest in editing. So that combo meant that like the point of the series, it being Alex's editing and it being every Tuesday, there just was no point to it at that point. And I just instead started doing random videos. I still do solo games and do videos of them. It's just not on Tuesdays, or it could be. What happened to lightly edited stream VODs? Yeah, I experimented with that a little bit on Mortio, and I think while there is room for something like that, I just think it's too much. Mortio has unedited VODs, and they do really well. And then I have videos on my main channel, and it'll be the best of the best clips from these VODs. If I also start doing where I just have someone lightly cut up the VOD to make it more like, if it's a 3-hour thing, it'll be like 50 minutes. I think I'm chopping everything. I'm splitting. I'll have people saying, hey, I want to see the full VOD. I don't want to watch this lightly edited. So then some people are watching the full VOD unedited on Mortio. Some people are watching the 50-minute VOD. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking viewers from each. I'm spreading out views too much. I already think that with how well Mortio is doing, some viewers choose not to watch the edited one on my main channel. So if I were to come with yet another version of the same VOD. I think what I end up doing at that point. Right now, I'm good. More TO VODs do well, and then the main channel. But if I do yet another type where it's lightly edited, I'm at that point just damaging the main channel VOD video. So I think that's how I feel about that. You will be seeing some lightly edited stuff on less TO, for sure. I've talked about doing, like, if we have a really good comeback in Overwatch, like one 30-minute game, then I've talked to them about cutting that down and putting it on less TO, because it's not something I would use on the main channel. Stuff like that, I think we'll be experimenting with. Are you planning on doing another aquarium video? Yes and no. I love aquariums, but aquariums are very based off of your own mental health, because it's a hobby that you have to stay on top of. And I think I'm waiting to see how I feel before I take on another aquarium. I have 2 empty aquariums that I was planning on putting together. But due to the circumstances, I'm waiting with it to see where I end up with feeling about having that responsibility. So I want to do another aquarium video if I decide to do another aquarium. But I'm waiting to see where I land on that hobby. And I think that, I imagine that's something a lot of you can relate with when you have a hobby and then you like start feeling shit and you're like, oh, I'm losing interest in this hobby. Kind of something like that, I guess. So yes, I yes and no. Ask me again in a few months and then maybe we'll have an answer. How does the revenue from YouTube ads, sponsors, and promotions account for inflation? So this is a really interesting one. Something I could mention there is that I get paid from, my main income is in dollars. Both Twitch and YouTube, my income there is paid in dollars. So let me give you an example of how that's changed over the years. Let's see. Hold on. Give me one sec. So if I go back 5 years. 5 years ago, if I got paid $10,000, I would have gotten 80,000 crowns, which is a Swedish currency. So I get paid $10,000, I get 80,000 crowns. Now, if I got paid $10,000 right now, I'd be paid 105,000 crowns. So that's a 20% increase in my wage for the same amount of work. Obviously, what you're not accounting on there is, as you say, with inflation and whatnot, like if our prices, it's to do with our prices going up as well. There's so many factors in how that currency changes. But just in a very basic sense, I'm not going to start going into how much our fucking butter costs right now and whatnot. The dollar, when I first started 10 years ago working with YouTube, at one point the dollar was worth 6.5 crowns. So if I got $10,000, I would have gotten 65,000 crowns. And just in late September, a few months ago, the dollar peaked at 11 crowns. That's getting close to twice as much that I'm getting in kroner. So 6.5 crowns per dollar to 11 crowns per dollar. So it's been going the right direction for me personally. It has the opposite effect. It's funny because the dollar becoming so expensive means that, because it's become really expensive over the last 2 years. It's gone up over the last year and a half. It's gone from 8 to around 10, 11. This means that anything imported from the States costs more. All prices on American goods, if you're in the store here in Sweden, it'll cost more. So generally, for the most part, a lot of people complain about this. But I'm happy because for me, it's a wage increase. So it's a really weird thing that I have mixed feelings about. Again, there's multiple reasons for why this has happened. And it does, some of our goods have just gone up. And it's a whole thing. And I'm not going to start doing an economy thing here because honestly, I don't know enough about it. But just if we're generally on a basic level, that it's for me, it's been nice. And it's actually a subject that I am on with Sunset a lot because it's gone the other way for him. So here's an example of what happened with him. not this Christmas, December, but this December before, we have a routine of end of the year, December comes. I talk to Sunset about his wage, and because he works for me full time, make sure he's happy, and we discuss it. So a year and a couple months ago, so last December, end of 2021, I gave him a wage increase. And then the war happened, and all the currencies, obviously the inflation and all the everything kind of changed. And what ended up happening, I used to pay him in Swedish crowns. That's how we kind of set his wage. So when the war happened, basically the currency exchange basically meant that the wage increase I had given him, which was quite significant, disappeared. And so the wage he was getting before the wage increase, this is his wage, I gave him a wage increase, cut to a few months later, and he's getting the same wage that he was getting when it's converted to, is it Hong Kong dollars? Yeah. Yeah. Kroner to Hong Kong dollar, it changed so much that the wage increase disappeared. I was still paying him more, but he was getting the same amount as before I increased his wage. So that was an issue. But I explained to him, he was like, fuck, man, you're going to have to pay me so much now that the currency's changed in order to stand with the increase. And I was like, yeah, but, with how much this is messed up on this side of things, I'm still in profit on the dollar side of things. So I'm getting more wage from YouTube and Twitch, so I can cover this even though the currencies are all messed up with you. And we ended up changing, so now his wage is paid in Hong Kong dollars, and it doesn't matter how much that is in Swedish kroner. He always gets the same wage. But yeah, that was an issue at the time. We hadn't really come to it was the first time that had happened, where the currency had changed so much, the exchange, that like his increase just disappeared. So now with editors, their wage is set in their currency, not mine, because otherwise I'm just gonna have that issue happen again. Sorry, that's nice. Talking like this, you can probably hear I'm getting quite hazy. Have you ever had to turn down a big company's offer down just because you felt that the company was not adequate? Oh, no, that the payment was not adequate. So can you tell us how it went? Yeah. So something people sometimes, a misconception in what I work with is that the bigger the company, the more you get paid for a sponsorship. And that, while sometimes happens, I've worked with some big companies and they have paid me really well. I also find that like if I'm doing like a sponsored stream, it's the other way around. I wouldn't say the indie companies, but the companies that aren't part of like a big AAA game, they tend to pay more for a streamer to play their game compared to a huge company with a game that everybody knows about. Because, I'm sure you know what, if you know more and you want to add on to it in the comment section. That's happened a couple times now, and I very much welcome it. But basically big companies, they don't, if I have a big company come to me and say, hey, like, we want you to play this game, and the deal isn't as good, I'll still take it and they know that, because they know that, because my viewers will accept the stream more. If I come at you with a Call of Duty sponsored stream compared to this random game that you haven't heard of, it's a lot easier for me to do a sponsored stream of Call of Duty than it is of this game. It's just a lot more straightforward. And I'm really generalizing here. But to answer your question, there's been a couple of big company offers where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. But just in general, usually when it's a bigger company, the offer isn't as good. And that is very common. But with saying that, still happens that they have bigger budgets and stuff. And it does happen sometimes that I ask, I'm like, hey, like, this is quite low for what you want me to do here. Can we raise up the price? And usually they're flexible with that, which is nice. But I'm not, if someone comes to me with this, I'm not like, I don't do all of this for money. And if I'm going to start stressing that much about getting the price up, then, well, that's basically not who I am. Like, I'm not going to stress about that. While when I do get an offer and I find it's a little low for what I usually do for this, you know, I'll mention it. I'm not going to make a huge deal out of it. The reason I do sponsored streams, sponsored videos is to get enough revenue to do what I love doing, which is have videos made. So that means I need to pay my editors. And this passion project I've been talking about has made me more into doing sponsored things because I need it if I'm going to keep this passion project going that I'm so excited about. So yeah, I have, of course, turned down big companies' offers, but usually that's not to do with the payment not being adequate. Usually when I turn down a big company's sponsorship offer, it's to do with me just not being, just not wanting to do it, you know, whether it's to do with, you know, some could be anything, really. Maybe bad timing or, you know, so I did a Battlefield sponsorship and I thought that was safe. Because Battlefields, often when I get sponsored to do something for a game before the game is out, that's always involving risk that I always have to take into account. Something like Battlefield, when Battlefield 2042 was coming out and they were like, hey, do you want to do some sponsored streams and stuff? I was like, heck yeah, I'm super excited about this game. But obviously that game came out to a lot of criticism and I always felt I couldn't have predicted that. But yeah, that felt a little like, damn. That's one of my perhaps a little more rough sponsorships. It was great. And like that first weekend I played it where I did 2 sponsored streams of it and I ended up doing a sponsored video. All of that I would have done even without the sponsorship because I genuinely enjoyed it. I think the cracks started showing in that game a couple weeks later, you know. And since then they've really improved upon the game. But I did turn down a sponsorship from them maybe 3 months ago, something like that, because of how I felt about the first one. And I was like, I'm not quite ready to go back to that game and advertise it. If they offered today, I think I would, actually, because I played it last week, and it's come a long way. It's doing good. I'm happy to advertise it now. Yeah, I went quite deep into that. I hope I answered your question of how I feel about sponsorships. Let's do 1 or 2 more questions here. How do you usually bring your friends on board for games? Do they just log in when they are free? And if you're playing, they join up? Has anyone taken a day off from work to play with you? We DM. Yeah, pop into the DM. How do you usually bring your friends on board for games? Yeah, we plan it. If there's a game coming out in a few days, couple weeks, then if we're really excited, we'll already have it planned by then. But most of my sessions are planned on the day. Lucas asked me a couple of hours ago, he asked us if we want to play CS. I said, I don't really want to play today, you know, and that's just how it goes, you know. Yeah, we just message each other. It really isn't. The only thing that we plan far ahead is like bigger sessions, you know. Or Katie will be like, you know, like, hey, I really want to play Played Up again soon. It's like, oh yeah. And then a couple days go by and it's like, hey, do you want to play now? Let me ask everyone. And then you just ask and hopefully people say yes. So it really isn't very formal. We're very chill with it. How did you find moderators for your channel? So half of them are like regulars and people I like. The thing with moderators are something a lot of people don't realize is that, or they don't think about it, they forget perhaps, is that people who are my mods, for example, are just viewers who are regulars. So someone will really like watching me and stuff, and they'll see mods as like someone who's like, oh, you're the teacher. But it's like, no, they used to be just like you, but I just thought that they were good enough that they could also be a mod, you know? And so that's a big reason why when I do giveaways, mods are allowed to join, because to me, I think it would be unfair to go, hey, you're such a good viewer. You're here all the time. You're enjoying my stuff. Do you want to help me just moderate as well? And they're like, yeah, sure. And it's like, thanks. You don't get to join in on giveaways anymore. Like, I think that's just the wrong way of looking at it. So how did I find them? I just regulars in chat, you know, who seemed relatively level-headed. I've had some mods in the past who perhaps it got a little shaky with and stuff, but I feel the mods that I have now are all very level-headed. We have a Discord where we discuss different bands and stuff, and I think it can be it's not that hard to see if someone's relatively normal when you have hundreds and hundreds of chat messages to go by. It's very easy to scroll through that and go, yeah, this guy seems okay. And then there's some who solved an Easter egg, who I ended up being quite lucky with. They were regulars as well, and they, you know, they were just smart enough to find the clues. Yeah, they happen to stay on as well. Let's see. Let's do one more question. I hope you can answer this question. Does Hobo and other mods, but specifically Hobo, get paid? I only ask because the amount of work we see her do seems like a lot of money for a typical mod who wouldn't get paid. Oh, you meant a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah, Hobo is full-time with me. I think that's something people... I can tell that people maybe don't realize that when they're like, holy shit, Hobo. It's like, yeah, she does great work. But she is paid. It's her job. So she's been amazing. She's been amazing help, especially with the classic stuff. I could go a little deeper into what we're doing with the classic series on the next work diary, because I think I've been going on here a bit and my voice is getting a little rough. Very happy to talk about that. I'm very excited about that series. Yeah, I can keep going here forever, but I'm just gonna end up fucking up my voice. So I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much for watching this stuff. It's nice to be able to talk about my thoughts on things, and it's nice to see people interested. So I'll see you in the next diary. Bye bye.